Power development. Why do we want to coach some sort of power development for somebody that's general population? We talked about this before. Just recap. If you don't remember, that's fine. Let's just start over.
I don't remember if I was here for this or not, but like,
I don't think you were. Yeah, you're right.
Just like a whole body recruitment, like all muscle recruitment.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
It's part of strength.
It is, for sure. Unless you go really slow on a strength and you like eccentric and tempo work, like you don't need power.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everybody needs, in their daily life, they probably need power. So we all agree that most people need power, right? Okay. So do you think that the older population needs power too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably more than the normal.
I would agree with you, right? Would you say that as a society, we're probably scared to push that?
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of things about you shouldn't go past 90, you shouldn't you gotta be careful getting out the car, whatever. So we're battling that a lot of times. We're pushing that a lot of times, we gotta be careful with that. When we have somebody come in and they're older and we're telling them at some point you might wanna, we don't tell them in the beginning, but when we get more comfortable, we're like, hey, I might ask you to jump. They're like, what? I haven't jumped since I was in high school. I'm like, yeah, that's not good. We need to learn how to jump safely. If anything, just safely.
Yeah.
I want to teach you how to jump safely so you don't mess up your back or anything when you spill the fall or anything like that. I need you to be able to catch yourself so you don't fall, right? Half of it is teaching it. If I tripped over a sidewalk, how do I catch myself? That is power, because you're gonna have to fast act on that motion. So it's for that reason. Jump over a puddle. If there's a puddle in front of you, you want to be able to jump over that, even if it's a small, like 6-inch puddle, right? You have to, like stuff like that. So confidence is a big one. Want to build power for confidence, coordination, right? It helps the mind get better at figuring things out easier together with the whole joints, all your body parts. Muscle strength, you need strength to be able to have power, right? For sure. Balance, you have to have balance to be able to have power. And big one, what's the biggest one of all of this? What does power and strength do for older population?
Builds bone density?
Yes, builds bone density. Bone density is huge. You know how many people we get here with osteoporosis? You can't really, if you're in your 60s, it's really hard to battle it. The only thing you can do is like fight it. Now, if you get somebody in your 30s, 20s, you're 35, is like, that's it. You can't build more bone. Like you start actually detracting out of your bones. So you wanna build as much bone strength as possible by power and strength. So that's what you wanna lift heavy when you're younger, but especially as you're older, so you keep maintaining it. Ideally, you just maintain it, right? So you might not get rid of osteoporosis, but it can get worse. We don't wanna let that happen, right? Let's see. Yeah, so picking up your foot fast to avoid a curve, jumping over a puddle, catching balance fast. This is another good question. What is the baseline you need before you start teaching how to do power?
Are you gonna baseline?
Yeah, like what's your baseline? Huh?
What kind of coordination? Power can be jumping, but
Yes.
power can also be explosive.
Exactly. That's why it's an open-ended question. It's hard. There is really no baseline.
Not frail, I guess.
If you think about it, I told you about skipping, right? That's technically power.
Yeah.
All those dynamic ones in the floor where we're going forward and back, that's all power. So if I have somebody that can actually walk without falling over, I'm probably gonna teach them how to skip. Not box jump per se yet, but just skip. So you see what I'm saying? So for every power exercise, there's a baseline you wanna have, but for something as simple as skipping, I can teach that from the beginning if I'm okay with them walking alone. You see what I'm saying? So that's a way to introducing power, is that. Yeah, I mean, that's an open-ended question. Would I want somebody to learn how to goblet squat to 40, 50 pounds before they do box jumps? Maybe, but they maybe not be able to physically, so I might be able to teach them how to do a 6-inch box jump. It's still jumping, right? So it just depends on how high I want to go, how the level, so that becomes more athletic population. I might have them hey, I want you to be able to squat 1.5 times body weight before you do heavy box jump with weight out of you. Then I'll have benchmarks, but for the general pop, I just want them to be able to balance good, and if they can balance good, I might start adding it. When I do little hops on the walls like this, I might just want to be able to do calf raises. If I can do calf raises, I can stay, or I can do walks on my toes and heels, and I can see that, then I can start doing this, right? But there's always, I definitely want to be able to do this. Let's see. So I need to have somewhat sort of endurance, right? Muscular endurance to be able to even do skips, right? I need to be able to have confidence. So if somebody, like I said, if somebody feels like they want to fall over at walking, I don't want to add a skip, right? That's already way too far gone. I need to build that up, the confidence first. I want to have a baseline strength. So if I can do this on my toes, then I can probably skip safely, right? That might be different for a box jump. So it just depends on the lift, really. And then I don't want to have any injuries in any of the joints, right? So if I'm working depends on the upper body power, lower body power, right? Okay, so now let's talk about triple extension. You're definitely used to it, right? What's triple extension? No idea? Perfect.
Ankles, knees, and hips.
Yes. So for the lower body joints, is when your ankle, knees, and hips are fully extended, so you can jump, right? Because you can't really jump when my ankle's flat, but my knees are extended, right? It's really hard. I can't really jump when my knees are extended, but everything else is bending, right? It's really hard. I have to have all three to develop full body power. So some of it is trying to develop that, and then that's how we'll start. We'll start on the racks, and that's what I'm talking about, the little hops, right? So I'm here. I'm trying to make sure that they can extend all their hips, and then once we did that, I'm gonna, how do I say it? I'm gonna build them up more by having them scrunch a little bit more. So, right? So I want to make sure they're flexing and then they're extending. A lot of people.
Like loading the spring first.
Yes, exactly. I'm loading up and then pushing off. A lot of people in general pop have trouble extending their ankle. They can extend their hip and knee, but they can't flex their ankle when they're jumping. When they're
They don't have the mobility?
Not necessarily. I think it's mental.
Okay.
I think it's just coordination. Is they can extend their knee and hip, they know they're moving, but for some reason they forget to like flick their ankle at the end, flick their calf, right? Okay, so let's see. Let's see everybody do. Actually, hold on. Okay, so safety. Actually, safety is a big one. So how do you start somebody teaching them power safely? We kind of talked about this on and off, but that's what I'm saying. It's really hard to like split everything up, like in sections.
Yeah,
everything combines together.
like you just said, having something that they can hold on to and grab to and practice first, and then work their way up.
Exactly.
So it's only one.
The biggest thing you want to do is make sure that person is confident and safe. If confidence comes with safety, if they know they're safe, they're gonna try it.
Yeah.
If they don't know they're safe, and you feel like, if I'm afraid that Phil might not be there, even it's just like thinking of might, I'm already not gonna try it, especially with somebody that's older, that's sketchy about trying something new.
Yeah.
You gotta already build that confidence, right? So, for example, if you have vertigo or you're off balance, but strength in your joints are good, we can start sitting down trying to teach upper body power instead. So if we have like 2 or 3 classes of vertigo, so they on a day-to-day, it just depends. Like they don't have, like the inner ear is all messed up, so they look good and they can do anything. But one day they might just be falling this side, they don't even know it, and then one day they can come in and do everything. It's a day-to-day. So it's kind of like, well, we got to plan for that because we need to have an idea. So what we'll do sometimes is we'll just sit and we'll just do upper body power because their vertigo doesn't act up on that, so instead of lower body. So I'll just sit and have them do chest toss, right? As hard as they can. That's one of the ones we're gonna go over, but it's just examples ahead of time of how we do it safely, right? I can do it up on a box, like I'm here, and I can go squat jump and sit back on the box, right? I'm just sitting back, but I'm in front of them, making sure they're not gonna go forward. And then behind them, the box is behind them, so they can't really go side to side. So I'm just doing it safely. That's a way of doing it safely. I can be, if I'm having them hang on to the thing, where am I gonna be? If I'm having them jump with their hands on the rack, where would I be coaching? Behind them, right? Because they're from side to side and they're forward, there's the wall. So I'm gonna be behind them, right? So it's about thinking about where to position yourself for the best safety, right? For not just for power, this goes for anything. We actually didn't go over how to spot somebody either on the lifts previous. We'll talk about that later. But there's definitely always a place where you should be on every lift or every exercise or every transition period that they're gonna be doing, right? Questions so far?
Yeah.
Questions so far? No? Yeah, so once our strength, balance, and pain are in check, we can attempt some sort of power. right? So we'll start. So our first one would be wall assisted hops or rack assisted hops. That's the baseline. We can do that, and then we can also do skips. Skips are also a baseline, one or the other. Skips on the rack, or skips or assisted hops on the rack. We'll try to teach that simultaneously. We'll go wall assisted. What's the next progression from wall assisted or rack assisted? What's up?
One hand off. Yeah.
One hand off. Yep, we talked about that. So what's the next progression?
Holding on to us, maybe, if they're comfortable
Okay.
without. If they still want to hold on to something.
Yeah, PVC is a little bit more sketchy. They can hold on to the PVC if I'm holding on to the PVC for them. So I can hold on to, a lot of times that's what I'll do. I'll hold on to the PVC and they'll hold on to here, but I'm just making sure that it's stuck to the ground, like another rack.
A lash, like they're like just almost ready to do it with nothing, because it's kind of unstable. So we'll test them a little bit without them being all the way on their own yet. You know what I'm saying?
What would you do?
The PVC pipe.
Yeah, exactly. But what I would do.
I'd just rather have them use me.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I would have him by my side and I would have him try jumping forward. Or I would hold on their arm just so they know I'm there. I'm not assisting them, I'm just holding on to them. That way if they fall that way, I can still grab them. Or if they fall whatever side, I can still grab them, right? So assisted being next to them, or you can go where he's holding onto my form and I'm walking with him and he's hopping forward, right? Just to get their balance, right? Let's go. So then from double-legged, what do we go next to? Single-legged, so same progression. Rack, one hand, assisted with somebody, and from there you go by yourself, right? The other one we can do, depending on the walls, because a lot of times we have racks in the walls. If we're on this wall and this wall, we can use the wall, and I'm on the other side, so I'll be here. Right, so I'm moving forward, but I have the wall next to me, just in case, right? But I'm still touching it for feeling. So yeah, single leg hops near the wall, and then we go forward. What we can do also, there's no like, this is hard because these all come at the same time kind of, but you can go forward and back and side to side hops. So apart from just doing hops, I can teach these too. Forward and back, or I can teach this. Right, just to start building like brain connection and where you're at in space, coordination. And then we can do TRX assisted jumps. So we're grabbing on the TRX. Right, so that's a little bit, if you fall back, you're gonna grab it, but I want them to keep it loose. Like I want the TRX to be not super taut, right?
Now where would the TRX be in like the progression?
Good question. I would say I don't like to use the TRX to teach in the beginning.
Yeah.
I use them afterwards just because if I want them, now there's two different ways of thinking about it. I want the TRX to be more progressive. So when I teach the TRX, I want this loose, like this.
Yeah.
I only want you to hold on to it if you're gonna go back, right? But not to say you can't teach it like this, right? You can teach squat jumps like this in a diagonal fashion, it's safer, but realistically, you're never gonna apply ground forces like that. You're always gonna apply it directly down. You see what I'm saying? So I'd rather be, exactly, it's a weird angle. So I'd rather be here, and just in case you're gonna fall over, then you're here, right? But that's a good question. I mean, I don't have a right and wrong answer here.
Yeah.
It's just all kind of like in that shift, right? And I had a hard time figuring which ones to even say first.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, this is us. At some point, we'll try different ones and see where you're at. And it might be that they can do a rack compared to TRX or one or the other, and they just don't feel, or it could be comfort. It could be they're more comfortable with the rack, or they're more comfortable with you next to them than the rack.
Yeah.
It just depends, right? People's brains.
People so far say like, oh, I feel more comfortable doing it like this. Let's do it this way.
Yeah, for sure. So now I'm just talking a whole different variability here, because now it's talking about person's brain being more comfortable.
Yeah.
So then if you force them to do the other way, they're gonna be like, well, what the fuck? I just told you that I want to. Yeah, exactly. So then skipping is also part of it. Side shuffle is power. I just taught you how to do it. Karaoke is power. Sitting on the bench squatting, so you start higher and you build up to a squat bench, and then you eventually take the bench out and you do a jump squat. So now you're starting to do into a jump and land in place. So now we're getting off the bench, we're getting off anything, and now we're gonna go these. Landing with your knees slightly bent, right? Yeah. We stand up and we'll do it again. So we reset every time. We don't do continuous ones. So I don't want it to look like this, right? I want it to look like land, stand up. Let's do it again. Take off, land, stand up. And here I'll start teaching what my hands do. Does anybody know what their hands do when you're taking off? When you're loading? When you're loading. So, exactly. So the way I teach it is, when my body's straight, my hands are overhead. When my legs are bent, my hands are behind me. When my body's straight up, my hands are overhead again, right? So load, take off. Load, take off. Load, take off. And once they understand that, it's easier to transition them into any kind of hurdle jump or box jump. Or broad jump even, right? It's the same idea, but it's easier just with shapes, right? If my hips are straight, my arms are over my head. If my hips are bent, my hands are behind me, right? It's just like, it just makes it easier for them to connect that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll be weird about it when they're going forward. They'll be like, how do I do it wrong? Hold on. No. And they'll be like, that felt awkward. I'm like, yeah, that looked awkward. So you felt awkward because you've been taught one way, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier that way. Or there's girls that do this all the time. They come from Orange Theory or something and they'll do, I gotta reconnect. That, exactly, thank you, that.
I used to do those.
Okay, that's fine.
Years ago, I used to.
Nothing wrong with that. You just can't transmit that to something else. You see what I'm saying? You can't do a box jump or a hurdle jump or like that. That's just a squat jump. That's great. There's a time and a place. As long as you know that you can do that in this movement, but I don't want you to do that in a box jump because it's counterproductive, right? Let's see. So sitting, so jump, squat, and land in place. So then from here we go forward. Right, forward's a little bit more difficult. And they're not broad jumps, they're small jumps, right? We'll go into skater jumps. Anybody know what a skater jump looked like?
Yeah. You want to show?
You're gonna be way more.
What happened? Why?
Because I don't know how to actually do them.
Oh, okay.
See, I was gonna go like
So that's good. What would I want you to focus more on? To get better at it. To get you more power into it. What would I tell you to do? You can pause for sure, but I will load you up more. Exactly, so I want you to load up a lot, exactly. So same thing when you're doing single leg hops, right? So when I'm teaching double leg hops, I'm teaching him high, and as you get better, hey, I want you to start loading your hip, right? So I'm landing here. And in this one, I'm never really fully extending. I'm actually working more on landing mechanics. Because landing mechanics is just as important as taking off. If I take off really high, but I don't know how to land, I could land like this and it really hurt my back, right? Yeah, exactly. So I want to make sure they're always nice and relaxed coming down. So a lot of times I'll teach this guy. Stay nice and relaxed by going forward, and then I'll teach the same thing with single leg, right? Bam, and then getting low in the hip. So your hip is going to get really strong just by doing this kind of stuff, right?
yeah, I was gonna do those forward, so clearly it's a good thing.
Oh God, you do it forward?
No,
You have
not
space?
No, but I just was like, no, I just didn't know what I was.
No, I never go. I just don't have space to go forward. That's okay.
I don't think you
So yeah, so skater jumps. We have. Oh, sorry, my bad. Let me regress that again. After they go from, actually, sorry, I need to write this down. I don't want to forget.
Did you mean skater jumps like this?
Yes.
That's what. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so after we get off the rack and we start going little baby hops forward, I'm not really fully extending, right? Because I want to teach how to land first. Same thing with single leg, but for single leg, there's more regressions that I do before going all in one leg. I go baby hops, I go 1-1. The 1-1 looks like this. This will be more of a skater, that's what it looks like. And I want it to stop and go. Fully stop, otherwise you'll see this. That's more of a bound. I don't want to teach balance yet, I want to teach jumps, right? So I'm here, stop, here, stop. So that's a 1-on-1. That's our first regression, most regressed version. The next one would be 1-1, 2-2, right? So I'm here, and then switch. And then switch. And then switch. Right? So I'm learning how to land that leg on the second hop. And then from there, I'll teach it all in one leg. So let's say 10 on one leg and then come back 10 on the other. Right? Questions on that one? So there's, the higher you are, the easier it is. The lowest you are, the hardest it is. Right? So the more my hip is loaded, the lower I am to the ground. Yeah, but a lot of times it's about, not even power, it's about how much strength do I have to load myself back down. Because if you land one-legged going, go ahead and do 5, actually everybody should do this. Do baby hops, 5 going forward, come back 5 one leg, come back 5 the other leg. Okay, let's try that. Don't go into triple extension, stay bent. Yep. Stand the ball of your foot. And hold it for about a second before you take off. There you go. Good. Now let's try one-legged. One-legged and start high, and then by the third rep, start getting into a 90 degree if you can. Take it out. Take it. Start high, yeah, and then by the third, get low. Slow it down and hold it. Stick it for a second. That's okay.
I can't balance it.
That's okay. That's most people. You see what I'm saying? So for you, I'll probably have you do one. Even smaller steps. You're taking really long steps. Like this small. Like really small. Yeah, exactly. You're not going distance.
Better on this one.
Yeah, there you go. So that's almost always the case.
Yeah.
So get a lot lower, Lauren. You're way too high, girl. Don't worry about the balance. So the balance is the last thing. What you can do is always put the foot down. So this is what I teach it. I teach it like this.
Okay.
Right? Take the balance out of it. Sorry, girl. Yeah, you're good.
That was a big jump. You don't want us to travel.
No, yeah, you're doing. Why get into advanced on me? Go little jumps. But get lower with your hip. I'm trying to get you to load your right hip up. Let's get lower. As you land. As you land only. Yes, right there. So now you should feel your hip lit up. Right? The lower you land, the more your hip lit up. And the more you stick it, the more it's going to have to lit up. So that's what I'm training them to load. They have to load to be able to land correctly and land safely. I'd rather train them to load than ever take off long or high. Because if they know how to load, they're not going to be able to do it safely. You know what I mean? Yeah. Questions?
Is that with the, like you can only produce as much force as you can absorb?
Yes. Well, safely.
Yes.
You can produce a lot more force than you can absorb, but you want to be able to absorb all that force. And that's what a lot of times ACLs, right? ACL, somebody doesn't know how to decelerate, and then they're going that way.
Deceleration and a twist.
Yes.
It's like 65 to 80%.
Exactly.
ACL tear.
Exactly.
That's why it's so important to train for athletes to train like falling, like box jumps.
Yes,
or
exactly.
something.
And that's what I'm saying. So
Athletes need to stop.
So I want to train them to land here, right? Loaded, right? And then not here. You know what I mean? Yeah, same idea. Same idea as that, for sure. If I teach this safely, it converts to everything. On the field even better, for sure, right? Okay, so vertical jump, so then we go teaching up. Broad jump, we go teaching forward. Does everybody know what a broad jump looks like? So you're here, my arms are the same, right here. I'm gonna go that way. What's up? A big hop, yes, like a big hop, thank you. And then a vertical jump would be the same thing, but up. So I'm trying to teach the ceiling, I'm here. Right? Then we have we have ankle hops. So now we're just taking the other two joints out of the equation. Here. Right? We have ankle hops and we have pogo sticks. So pogo sticks is when I have my toes up in the ground, I'm trying to stiffen up, keeping all three. Yeah, don't bend your knees though. Don't bend your knees.
Pogo
So you-
hops or no ankles, right?
So exactly like that. And try to stop your knees. Pogo hops, you're not bending your knees at all.
But my toes
Ankle jumps,
are
you
up.
are. Huh?
But my toes
Your toes are up. So literally you're in all three flexes are flexed. It's very difficult, right? So the higher you get into a pogo stick, you have a That's our lower body power.